Most people relapse because they focus on the wrong thing. They try harder instead of going deeper. And here's a real secret therapists know, and it's the key to never relapsing again. It's not about avoiding the pub or deleting your dealer's numbers. It's about preparing for the weight of life and knowing how to lift it when it hits hard. Most people don't relapse because they're weak. They relapse because they got comfortable. They stopped doing the stuff that was helping them stay on track. They got a few weeks under their belt, maybe a month or two. They started to feel a bit better. The anxiety died down, the cravings weren't as sharp, so they eased off. And they said to themselves, I'm fine now, I've got this. That's when relapse happens. I've worked with hundreds of professionals, directors, business owners, engineers and consultants, really smart, high-functioning guys. People like you who have achieved a lot and are used to handling pressure. They built careers, managed teams, closed deals. But when it comes to addiction, this is the trap nearly all of them fall into. They get lazy with the tools. They stop journaling, they stop engaging in therapy, they stop reaching out, they stop checking in with themselves emotionally. And one day, something stressful happens and bang, you're back to old habits. Not because they're broken, not because they don't care, but because they stopped doing the things that got them sober in the first place. It's exactly like going to the gym. If you stop training your muscle, what happens? You lose strength, right? And you might still look fit on the outside, but under the surface, you're losing muscle mass. And addiction and recovery is the same. Your tools like therapy, mindfulness, exercise, emotional soothing, those are the mental reps. And if you stop using them, your brain slowly slips back into old wiring and the autopilot kicks in. So how do you make sure that doesn't happen? It's about being confident, not complacent. That's what I say to every client. Confidence is great. Confidence is when you say to yourself, I'm not scared of a bad day, I've got the tools for that, just need to stay honest with myself. It means you're growing. But complacency, that's relapse fuel. Complacency is thinking, I haven't journaled in a while, but I don't need it anymore. I don't think I was that bad. Other people don't need this stuff, so why should I? I'll deal with it if it gets worse. And if you're nodding along and thinking, I've drifted into complacency before, then this might be the time for something different. I help high-functioning professionals like you build a real plan, one that works when life gets heavy. So if you're interested, hit the link in the description and book a confidential call with me. We'll map out your pattern, find the cracks and build a strategy to get back on track. But if you're not quite ready to talk, then here's a tool you can use right now. I call it the emotional thermometer. At the end of the day, just rate your emotional state from 1 to 10, 1 being calm and grounded and 10 being overwhelmed and on edge. Then ask yourself, what am I doing with this emotion? If you're a 6 or above, it's time to get proactive. Write for 5 minutes, go for a walk, call someone to talk it through, journal it out or go to the gym. Don't wait until you're at 9 or 10 because that's when most people slip. And this tool can have a big impact with low mental effort. Recovery isn't about being perfect, it's about being aware and staying consistent. And it's way easier to stay on top of your tools when things are calm, rather than trying to scramble when everything is falling apart. So if you're watching this and thinking, yeah, I've let things slide, it's okay, just start again today. You don't need a relapse to reset your routine, you just need to commit. And I'll say it one more time, be confident, not complacent. Now that you've got a new tool to use, let's shift the focus onto another reason why most people slip or relapse. Well, staying sober when life is calm, that's one thing. But the real test, that's when life starts piling on the pressure. When the weight on the bar of life gets heavier. Let me explain. You know when you're at the gym and you're lifting 10 kilograms? It's manageable, you've got your form right, you're breathing steady, but then someone slaps on 40 onto the bar and the same movement, the same technique, but the intensity is just completely different. And recovery works the same. When you first stop drinking or using, the challenges are mostly internal. You're breaking the habits, dealing with cravings, maybe you start journaling or meditating, and that's your 10 kilograms, right? But as you move forward, and especially if you're 2, 3, 6 months down the line, life doesn't stop. And in fact, it usually gets harder. And that's when the 50 kg hits. Let me give you some examples from my own life. At the beginning, the weight of the bar looked like not seeing my drinking friends, pushing through a stressful week at work, facing the shame and guilt from stuff I'd done, figuring out how to pay off my debts. And that was heavy but manageable because I had the tools. But over time, life threw more at me. I went back to uni and did a 3-year degree in counselling. My brother had his stag do and everyone around me was drinking. And I started this business from scratch, went through a breakup and I lost 2 grandparents. These weren't little wobbles, these were big life events. Stuff that hits you in the chest. but I stayed sober for every one of them, not because I'm special, but because I kept using the same tools I started with. The same therapy, the same journaling, the same exercise, the same meditation. I just had to brace myself for a different level of intensity. And this is another reason why most people slip. They think because they've been sober for a few months, they can ease off. But then something heavy lands on them, like a death in the family, a job loss, a bad argument, stuff they haven't trained for. And that's the moment you've got to stay ready for. The tools don't change. You don't need to do something new when the pressure hits. You just need to keep the old tools sharp. And that's when life throws at you. You're 50 kgs, you need to be ready, you need to be training. You need to breathe, brace and lift. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to stay prepared. So what are some non-negotiable tools to ensure you avoid relapse? Here's what my clients and I commit to doing to stay in long-term recovery. These are the non-negotiables. Firstly, there's therapy. You need a space where you can say the stuff that you can't say at work or to your partner. Therapy helps you make sense of what's going on underneath, the stress, the shame, the grief, the anger. And if you don't deal with it, it builds up. And that's when, and that is what sends you back to a drink or a line. Even just one session a week where it's all about you makes a massive difference. Next is journaling. That's your daily mental reset, like cleaning out the drunk drawer in your head. Every morning or evening, spend 5 minutes writing down whatever is on your mind. Doesn't have to be deep or poetic, just get it out. Start with a simple prompt like, what am I feeling right now? That's it. And over time, you'll spot patterns, triggers, and things you didn't even realise were driving your cravings. Then there's exercise. Don't care if it's a gym, dog walking, or doing push-ups in your bedroom. Just move your body, get your lungs working and your blood flowing. Exercise isn't just physical, it actually resets your whole nervous system. Helps you sleep, helps your mood, helps your stress, helps you have a healthy outlet. One of my clients told me the days I train, I don't even think about drinking. It's that simple. And lastly, we have meditation. Look, I used to think meditation was all woo-woo, but it's not. It's just training your brain to slow down. Even 5 minutes a day, just sitting still, breathing, noticing what's going on inside, can help you respond rather than react. So, there are the 4 tools: therapy, journaling, exercise and meditation. Do them consistently, not perfectly, and you'll stay strong. No matter what life throws at you, you don't need more willpower, just need to ingrain the healthy coping mechanisms that keep you ready. If you've tried to quit before but always slip when life gets heavy, book a confidential one-on-one call with me. Click the link below and I'll help you map out your relapse pattern, identify the triggers, and give you the exact tools to make sure you don't relapse again. I look forward to speaking to you on the call.